Now at 5, 3 police officers and a suspect are shot in Joplin.
The Senate discusses how to combat rising hate crimes in the U.S. I'm Michael George with the reaction to a new law finally making lynching a federal hate crime.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A developing story tonight. 3 officers and a suspect are shot in Joplin. This is KOAM News at 5. Let's go live to KOAM Shannon Becker at the scene.
Yeah, thanks. This afternoon, Joplin Police Assistant Chief Brian Lewis tells us they responded to a disturbance the 400 block of South Geneva near the Buckle clothing store. It was there that officers, in an exchange of gunfire with a suspect. Those 2 officers there were transported to a local hospital, their conditions unknown. From there, the suspect stole a Joplin police vehicle and fled to a second scene, the 900 block of South Connecticut. Another exchange of gunfire. Another Joplin police officer struck, and the suspect was struck also. I want to be sure to let everyone know that there is no further threat to the public. The suspect was transported to an area hospital with life-threatening injuries. There's also no update yet on the condition of the 3 officers. I'm Shannon Becker, live, KOAM News.
Obviously, we're staying on top of this story. We will have updates as they become available online. Shannon, thanks. Police in Pittsburgh are treating a woman's death as a possible homicide. Officers yesterday conducted a welfare check at a home on West 4th Street because a woman at the home hadn't been heard from in several days. Inside, they discovered the body of 44-year-old Misty Watson Sorensen. Investigators are awaiting an autopsy report. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation's Crime Scene Response Team is helping with the case, along with investigators from the Crawford County Sheriff's Office and member agencies of the Tri-State Major Case Squad. We're going to check in with Doug Hetty now for our first look at the weather.
All right, now for us today, we have had a lot of clouds across the region once again. We actually have a weak little wave that is passing by, so you can see some showers, even some snow showers, but most of this is not reaching the ground. But as this continues to work through during the overnight hours for us tonight, we may get a quick little burst of very light snow or a quick little burst of a random rain shower, but that is just about it. But you can see these little showers again now where you see the darker blues or the darker greens, that's where a little bit is reaching the ground. Besides that, most of this wave is just going to pass by and give us the clouds across the region. Temperatures a little bit better for us today. Upper 30s to near 40 degrees, that's where we are sitting. As of right now, we are going to have a lot of clouds, of course, throughout the evening hours. We'll slide back through the 30s, eventually upper 20s later on tonight. More snow in the forecast. I'm going to break that down for you here in just a bit.
See you then. President Biden today announced that the U.S. will ban all Russian oil imports, toughening the toll on Russia's economy in retaliation for its invasion of Ukraine. But President Biden also acknowledged it will bring costs to Americans, particularly at the gas pump. The action today follows pleas by the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to U.S. and Western officials to cut off the imports. President Biden declared in remarks to the White House that, quote, "We will not be part of subsidizing Putin's war." Hate crimes are on the rise in the U.S. FBI statistics from 2020 show hate crime incidents are higher now than in the last 2 decades. Member of the Senate addressed that issue today. Michael George reports.
The Senate Judiciary Committee heard testimony from Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker, who endured an 11-hour hostage standoff at his Texas synagogue in January.
No one should fear gathering to pray or celebrate or mourn or connect in their spiritual home.
Tuesday's hearing on hate crimes touched on people targeted for their religion, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, and disability. The Justice Department estimates about half of all hate crime attacks target black people. Recently, dozens of bomb threats have been called into historically black colleges and universities.
These threats have disrupted normal operations, causing classes to be canceled or hastily moved online.
During the pandemic, there was a spike in hate crimes targeting Asians. Last week, 28-year-old Steven Zajonk was charged with hate crimes for attacking 7 Asian women in New York.
The trauma is real.
Esther Lee was spit on and called a carrier on a New York City train last year.
I had several panic attacks where I couldn't walk down the street without hyperventilating and gasping for air.
New York City has gotten more aggressive at charging people with hate crimes, but an analysis by the nonprofit The City found 85% of those cases get pleaded down or dropped entirely. Meanwhile, the Justice Department has charged more than 30 people since January 2021 with federal hate crimes. There have been 20 convictions, including the men who murdered Ahmaud Arbery. And Congress has given final approval to new legislation that would make lynching a federal hate crime. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The bill is named after Emmett Till, who was murdered in 1955. President Biden will sign that bill into law. Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley has been suspended indefinitely by the NFL, at least through the 2022 season, for betting on games. The league says he placed the wagers for a week in November when he was not playing. Still ahead, staying safe while giving back.
People around the world are giving back to help those impacted by the war in Ukraine. I'm Naomi Rockham with how to make sure those donations end up in the right hands.
And next in Health Watch, tips for parents on talking to their kids about the hazards of sexting. Topping today's Health Watch, children who have experienced a concussion are more at risk for mental health problems. A Canadian study of nearly 500,000 children and teens between the ages of 5 and 18 found that those who had sustained a concussion had a 40% higher chance of turning to self-harm or being hospitalized with psychiatric issues compared to young people who had broken bones. Exposure to lead through gasoline may have cut the IQ scores of half of Americans in the last century. A new study from Duke University finds that exposure to leaded gas and car exhaust during childhood may have led to the loss of 800 million total IQ points since the 1940s. Study authors suggest that Americans born before 1996 might be at a greater risk for lead-related health problems like accelerated brain aging. With the pandemic keeping kids at home and online, kids are having easier access to sexually explicit material at a younger age. Research shows the average age for first-time exposure to pornographic material is 11 years. We look at what consequences these sexually explicit materials can have and what parents can do. Father Steve Hartshue's cautious about what his kids see online, especially during the pandemic.
With everything was closed down, they basically were in the house on their computers.
A lot more screen time can lead to inappropriate websites.
More comprehensive and include topics such as sexting and sexually explicit media. Current research is saying that about 1 in 4 teens have received a sext.
A sext is a sexually explicit or suggestive image, message, or video sent on a smartphone or through the internet. The CDC says sexting can damage a teen's self-image, lead to depression and other mental health issues, and teens can even face felony charges.
It is so critical to talk to kids about these kinds of situations before they may find themselves in it.
Parents can get the conversation started by using a recent news story or something they've seen to engage their teen on the topic. Explain early and often how a sent image or message can't be taken back and can live forever on the internet. And talk about personal boundaries and how to resist peer pressure. Steve makes sure to steer his daughter Ava in the right direction, especially as she navigates dating in high school.
He told me to be conscious of my decisions and really think about what I'm doing, and think about the outcomes and the bigger picture.
And how that picture may not only be worth 1,000 words, but also your reputation. Another tip, teach kids to follow the WWGT, or what would grandma think rule. If they don't want grandma to see it, they shouldn't send it. For more tips on how to talk to your teens about sexually explicit materials, click on the link on this story at KOAMnewsnow.com. A new study published in Jama Neurology finds hearing loss and epilepsy may be early symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Researchers studied the healthcare records of more than 1 million people living in London between 1990 and 2018. They found that along with tremors and memory loss, hearing problems and seizures could also appear 5 to 10 years before a Parkinson's diagnosis. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, how seniors at an area high school are learning some valuable life lessons.
Plus, we're tracking chances for snow working in later this week. We're going to check that out coming up. Well, of course, the clouds stuck around for us today. We've had some light sprinkles, even some light flurries in spots. Chilly, of course, but better than what we have seen over the past couple days. Tomorrow looks pretty good. We're going to get sunshine. Temperatures are going to warm up. Next storm system, this is going to roll in late Thursday. Rain will start to develop. We'll switch to snow, lasting at least through the midday hours on Friday with some accumulations. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, you can see the clouds out there. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. The clouds are going to stick around as we go through the evening hours, anywhere from lower 40s, western counties, to upper 30s as you work back into southwestern parts of Missouri. So well below where we should be for this time of the year. 7th and range line looking northeast. Of course, you can see those clouds across the region. We're going to drop back through the 30s slowly, eventually upper 20s a little bit later on tonight. We do have a weak wave that is passing by, mainly to our south, but you can see some light snow showers, rain showers down through northwestern Arkansas. Majority of this is not reaching the ground, but where you see the little darker blues, we are getting some light flurries, a little darker green, some light showers. So we're going to deal with this through the evening into the overnight hours. Not a huge deal. And here's the backside of the wave that will rotate through. Once that passes by, then we'll get a little bit of sunshine for us tomorrow. Back to the northwest. Here's our next wave. This will start to affect us late Thursday night and heading into Friday. Let's go through time for us tonight. Again, a few random light little flurries rotating through. Clouds are going to break up late tonight, so we'll start the day and we'll actually get quite a bit of sunshine tomorrow. Temperature is quite a bit better as we should go into the 50s for highs. 29 to start, 47 by noon, high of 53, easterly winds 5 to 10. Tomorrow night, clouds thicken up. We drop back near 40-ish, 38, 40. Look at the snow picking up to our north. We'll start to pick up a few random showers as we go through the day, especially late in the day on Thursday. Here's 1 p.m. You can see our very far northern counties getting a little bit of snow. Light showers and drizzle will start to pick up as we go through Thursday evening, and then Thursday night, we'll get a band of light snow across the region. This will continue to build in as we head into early Friday morning. Periods of light snow, temperatures dropping through the 20s. So it may not initially stick, but it will start sticking as we go into Friday morning. And then I think most of this will be out of here by Friday afternoon, and then we'll get rid of the system and start to warm up by the weekend. All right, snow amounts, it's going to be light, but enough to cause some issues. Far northern counties, mainly Fort Scott, Nevada, north 2 to 6. I'm going to go in general, we'll fine tune this as we go through the next couple days, but I think very likely we at least get a ½ an inch upwards to 2 inches of snow with this next wave. 53 tomorrow, 54 and dropping Thursday, 33 Friday, down to 14 Friday night. We're going to have one more really cold night, but by Sunday we spring forward and back to 57.
It'll seem like spring for sure.
Oh, absolutely by then.
Thanks, Doug. High school seniors in McDonald County, Missouri got the chance to take a break from academics and learn how to adult instead. Senior Day Adulting 101 gave students the chance to learn new and essential skills to function in the real world. Skills like registering to vote, creating a resume, applying for your first apartment, and more. People from all over the community volunteered their time to teach various workshops.
One of our sessions is auto mechanic stuff, how to change a tire, how to check your oil, different things like that. We've got banks out here helping students open up debit cards, open up a bank account, and just a bunch of different stuff.
Main purpose of the event is to ensure that students are prepared to go out into the real world in just a few months. Coming up, creative ways to help the people of Ukraine. First, though, we recognize a local World War II veteran. William Bud Green served in the South Pacific with the U.S. Marine Corps. His medals include a Purple Heart. His hometown, Baxter Springs, Kansas. And we are proud to salute Sergeant William Bud Green, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, used car prices are starting to ease. According to Cox Automotive, wholesale vehicle prices fell 2.1% in February. That's down from a record high in January, but prices are still up more than 36% from a year ago. The auto industry has been grappling with a global chip shortage, which has forced car makers to limit production. An about face by Shell. The energy giant is now pulling out of Russia and apologized for buying its crude oil last week. The UK-based oil company says it'll shut down its service stations and other operations in Russia. People around the world who are horrified by Russia's invasion of Ukraine are coming up with creative ways to help. But experts warn that scammers are also trying to cash in. Naomi Ruckham reports.
At Veselka, a longtime Ukrainian restaurant in New York City, proceeds from every bowl of borscht go to Ukraine relief efforts.
There have been a few younger male staff members who are of Ukrainian descent who are seriously considered going back, and they're asking me, what should they do? And I said, I'll support whatever you do. If it's buying you a ticket, I'll assist you in doing that. But I think we could do a lot more here.
The restaurant is also collecting clothes and first aid items. Since the invasion, Veselka has been packed with Americans showing their support for the Ukrainian people.
It's just been overwhelming and very appreciative.
Another way people are helping Ukrainians is by sending money directly through Airbnb. According to the company, more than 61,000 nights were booked in Ukraine on March 2nd and 3rd, and Airbnb has temporarily waived fees on Ukraine bookings, so it won't profit from this.
The Airbnb effort's so interesting, started online, really was like almost a crowdsourcing, great idea.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says other companies, including Uber and Etsy, have also come up with novel ways to help.
Uber has basically said we're going to give free rides to people who are at the Ukrainian-Polish border, and Uber users here in the U.S. can give through the app. Etsy said no fees for people who are selling stuff who are based in the Ukraine.
Some people are turning to cryptocurrency to send money, but beware of scams. According to Bitdefender Labs, crypto scams targeting Ukraine relief efforts are intensifying.
If you've got an organization, make sure it's legit.
The FTC sent out tips on how to donate, including checking out the organization online. Search for words like review, scam, or complaint before you send any money. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Additional resources to check on a charity's rating include the BBB Giving Alliance and Charity Navigator. It's International Women's Day, but the gender pay gap has shown little improvement. According to business.org, women make about $10,000 less than men across the nation. Wyoming has the biggest wage gap, where women earn about 35% less than men, while Washington, D.C. has the smallest gap. Final check of the forecast next. We want to briefly recap what we know about this afternoon's shooting in Joplin. Again, officers responded to a call of a disturbance near the Buckle at 4th and Range Line. While there, the suspect opened fire on officers, then fled. The shooting continued at another location as well, near 9th and Connecticut. Altogether, 3 Joplin police officers and the suspect were shot. All 4 were taken to the hospital. No word on their conditions. Of course, we're going to have the latest on this case for you tonight at 6. Also at 6, some Kansas families displaced by a massive wildfire return to what's left of their homes. And Crowder College renews a partnership with Central Methodist University to make it easier for students to transition after graduating. We're going to explain just how that works. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOIM News at 6. In the meantime, let's check back in with Doug Heddy.
Yeah, it looks like through the evening into the overnight hours, a lot of clouds. We may get a random flurry or a quick random little shower as we go through the evening prior to midnight. Then we'll start to clear out. 53 tomorrow, so Wednesday looks pretty good. 54 in the morning on Thursday. Then we start to drop. Rain, light snow develops Thursday night into Friday. Most likely this will accumulate, but it looks like our last one heading into spring.
That's the good news. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we'll be right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.